Yo, what's going on, mighty dudes and ladies? This is the multitasker himself, Mighty Avenger, and I'm gonna do a little creativity for this video. Not only is going to be a react to the first one, but also going to do a short review of a certain animated show that I just finished watching. This was another request by Collins Vincent. So I'm going to try my best to give my thoughts and my impression of the show called the Stretch Armstrong and the Flex Fighters. I finally got a chance to watch it, so and bear with me on this one. My voice is a little tacky right now because I am under the weather lately, and knowing how it is in Kentucky, because excuse me, the weather keeps changing every time from heat to approximately if we're gonna get any rain, and it's such annoying. So just want to give you a heads up what's going on. So I'll try my best, try to at least entertain you guys as much as I can without me sounding so froggy. So I'll shut up at this moment. So right now I'm gonna react to Deadpool apologizes to David Beckham. Why? I don't understand why would Wayne want to apologize to Mr. Beckham. I don't understand. And we're only down to 3 days left for the most kick-ass, the most ball-breaking second coming of Deadpool. And I know the fact I'm going to be watching, I'm going to laugh my ass off. I'm going to be wearing my Deadpool shirt that says maximum effort. So, and no, Deadpool did not make me want to do this, okay? He doesn't pay me anything. I mean, all he does is just give me the IOU. Like, what I'm going to do with that? It doesn't make any fucking sense. But more importantly, why would he have to apologize to Beckham? I think I know why. Because maybe at some point there was that one line that he just said, and he took it offensive. So let's just check it out.
You ever heard David Beckham speak? It's like he mouth sexed a can of helium.
What?
You ever heard David Beckham speak? It's like he mouth sexed a can of helium.
Oh, I remember that. Oh my goodness, I should have remembered that. Now he's texting. He's like, no, screw you.
I am so sorry.
That's fast.
So sorry.
Nope. Milky Cookies ain't gonna do anything.
Too soon? Yeah, too soon.
No! Wait. Oh God, why?
Tickets for the cup.
I can't wait to not watch Italy play the Netherlands.
I can't stay mad at you.
Healing hugs. Here we go.
Bro hugs, man. Bro hugs.
That feels so good. You smell amazing. Like cinnamon and manhood.
Okay. Awkward moment. Awkward.
No, we should let go of this burden together. Just wonderful. No. Okay.
What were you apologising for anyway?
Well, just the bit in Deadpool with the voice.
Doesn't ring a bell.
What did you think I was apologizing for?
I mean, there's a list. Green Lantern, R.I.P.D.,
Horrible.
Selfless,
Terrible.
Blade Trinity,
Oof.
Boldneck.
Boldneck was a masterpiece!
I'm sorry. I yelled, I raised my voice, I lost control. Please open up.
Got mad. That's what happens. That's what you get. How do you get? Okay, how do you get in? Okay. Okay, can someone try to give me the 411 of what Beckham said, that movie that Deadpool got snapped? I kind of missed out what he said, but just let me know in the comment section. Oh my God. Rest assured I'm gonna see this shit. I think he is personally my favorite character. And more importantly, I did finish picking up the last issue of Despicable Deadpool, which basically Marvel Universe kills Deadpool. More importantly, I think the Marvel did him a favor. So maybe a minor spoiler. Let's just say that Wade needs to clean up of his past. And when I say about past, I'm talking about his past over the past storylines. Because basically, Deadpool's going to get his own new series, so let's consider it as a fresh start. So, take that, Deadpool. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this clip as much as I do, because, first of all, how did he get inside of the house in the first place? No explanation, really? I don't understand. But that'll be it for right now. Give me about 10 seconds for me to get a jump start on my review. So stay tuned because it will begin momentarily. What's up, guys? It's the one and only himself. This is be my first time to do a review to an animated series, which is called Stretch Armstrong and the Flex Fighters. This was a request by Collins Vincent, and the thing about him that he likes this show, and I can see why. Because to be honest with you, I was actually got hooked onto it. So for those who don't remember who or what Stretch Armstrong was, it's just basically a base toy from Hasbro. And you know how it is with that. All you do is just basically stretch the heck out of his limbs, arms, legs, you name it. And it was very playable toy back in what, 70s, 80s. Mostly I remember Stretch Armstrong got a better look, a better version of it back in the 90s, and I did remember seeing the toy commercials back in that day. But what I did not know about, there was going to be an actual series that brings a superhero theme in it. So again, this is going to be the first time to do a short review, and there's going to be the latest series that came out just recently. So, here goes. I just want to say about Stretch Armstrong and the Flex Fighters. I'll just give it a say. It was a really decent series. So, it's basically you want to spice things up, get involved with a toy brand, and with a superhero theme that is now essentially that the whole comics is such a pop culture. And that's probably what they were doing. So apparently there was a 2016 free comic book day that they actually had just a one shot issue of the Flex Fighters. So it brings into the near, not so distant future to the city, that you have Jake Armstrong, who's a typical straight A student, who's just doing all the classes, musical classes, just to improve his father. And you have Ricardo, who's the new kid of the city and the school, because he's the kind of a jock type of a guy that simply just doesn't play by the rules. And you have Nate, who's just a typical standard geek, who's living with his grandfather, raising 5 other grandkids, and they all go to that same school, because this is I believe it's called Rook City, because Rook City is run by Now, now I have watched the show, so I probably forgot his first name, but his last name is Mr. Rook, who runs the Rook Industries. That basically that owns his own corporation, that owns the city, and he's basically rich and super genius. So what happened now is that basically that those three kids got exposed to the chemical substance known as the flexinarium. Yeah, flexinarium, and they were exposed to it. Now, each of three have a different, unique kind of the super elasticity. For Jake, he's basically has the standard elasticity that he can stretch limbs. Nate expands of his skin as a glided wings, and Ricardo has increase of his mass size that could be harder than steel. And basically that they just wanted to save the city. And what happens now that Mr. Rook just recruited them to be part of his corporation, be part as the corporation's brand of superheroes that under his protection. And of course, like any other generic superhero theme for a cartoon series, they're untrained. So they have, of course, they have the head of the security, Kane, who's also who is the type of a drill sergeant, and let me tell you, he's a hard ass son of a bitch. But a little bit of confidence of effort, of job working done, and that's all basically what it is. Because these are the three heroes just wanted to be heroes, just saving the day. What they don't understand is there's someone else who has a pretty ambition, who wanted to conquer the world, and that is their arch nemesis goes by the name of Stretch Monster. Now, hearing that name, Stretch Monster, sounds like a mediocre of a monster because it doesn't have a name. Of course, they basically describe who he is, because the fact he can also have the elasticity ability that he can stretch limbs. So here's some of the things that they kind of bring a lot of references throughout the series. I forget what the episode was. The part they got all these really futuristic bikes. They had to chase this meta because the fact that she's a speedster. And I also noticed that let's see, yeah, I noticed that when they were chasing on the bridge, this kid had a toy that she was holding, and guess what? It was the classic toy of Stretch Armstrong, the original brand of over a decade. So that's a lot of so that's one reference. And also, there was a one part episode that they did two crooked smart guys was trying to test out using the flexinarium, and those test pods, they remind me of the old 80s flick, The Fly remake. Not many people don't remember it back in the day, but I remember seeing that movie, how it was an 80s horror movie that was gory and horrifying at the same time, and not to mention how they did the animatronics of the whole transformation, having an almost turned into a fly, and it was pretty gruesome at the time. So because it would bring a little different take of the old film and bring it to the 80s. So that's just one of those things. But anyways, What else I can think of? So far, that's only I can think of right now. But also, it did highlighted some of the things that caught my interest about, Mr. Kane, that was voiced by Keith David. Now, he is a professional actor and a voice actor, so if you're thinking of Keith David, you can only think of other things besides movies like Gargoyles and Spawn from HBO. Those were the two things that I remember of his highlight career. but I, because I always knew that Kane was such a hard ass, but I never would have expected that he was a thug back then. Him and his old partner, except he got straight, and now he's basically as a head security of the Rook Industries. So who would have thought about that his criminal past, that he was just a typical thief and a crook, now become one of the hardest working man with a straight discipline. So that kind of scared me, because I was kind of wondering why he's always such on the edge. So I already know who the other voices are in this series. For characters such as Jake was voiced by Scott Scott Manville, who's also known as the voice of Robin from Teen Titans and other cartoon shows, including Mission Hill. Now, I remember that show, and Scott was the voice of Kevin. Kevin's little brother. I missed that show, because that was my shit back in the day when it was aired on Adult Swim. Ricardo, voiced by Oogie Banks, who's the same voice actor has been known to be the voice of Luke Cage and Miles Morales in Ultimate Spider-Man. That's who I recognize the voice. And Nathaniel was voiced by Steven Yeun, aka Glenn from The Walking Dead. So that's a bonus right there. And others characters like Felicia Day and John Heater. So, and yeah, John Heater he was voiced by the former employee of Rook Industries until he got exposed to the Flexinarium that turned him into a monster. So that basically breaks apart. So that was only a small part of it. Now let's get down to the business of throughout the story. So basically what it is, that 3 young untrained heroes are getting trained by Kane and getting guidance from Mr. Rook to save the city from other bad metas. The reason I say metas, because that's basically what it looked like, the comparison to the DC's Arrow series or Arrow universe, whatever you call it, and try to stop them from trying to take over the city. And there's a lot of stories in depth that has something to do with the past, something a little shady between of the Rook Industries and a former head scientist that goes by the name of Dr. Cleo or Dr. C. Now, here's the thing about that. She disappeared and been basically doing reconstructing experimentations over with the Flexinarium. And she wasn't alone. She had her little security known as the Blind Strike, a high-tech ninja that's been stealing weapons, stealing other chemical compounds from different factories that's under the name of Rook Industries, and here we thought we haven't see her, but she's still alive, and basically she's been continuously doing her work underground, undetected. And of course, throughout the story, it's just a typical teenage drama, and it's just one of those moments that you have these kind of things that whether it's trying to just to improve or to do a little impression to your parents without telling the big secret that you're a superhero as an employee of a mega corporation. Impressing with the ladies, going to the prom. Those are the kind of things that is a typical teenage drama that we all seen it, and it never gets old. So it's always going to be like it's always going to be one of those moments, because this is just the kind of thing that brings part of it of our lives, because I always have certain of the teenage drama moments that back in the high school years. But anyways, one thing to highlight that got me really convinced, and there was a lot of things a lot of theories that's been going on. So this is not considered as a spoiler alert, or maybe it is, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it anyways, because excuse me, because I could just pretty much just be in control, because I run this show, baby. Anyways, we're getting as the story gets almost close to the end. Jake basically finally caught the stretch monster, and basically he puts a little stunt to saying that he was a victim by Dr. C. And of course the other two just don't trust him, because everything he says that doesn't make any sense. Then why attacking them in the first place? So they managed to find that a secret location where Dr. C has been continuously been working on, and that's where the shit Bob takes it, that it was nothing but a lie, simply to remove Dr. C out of the picture. With her out of the way, he can to unveil of a master plan that's basically to simply bring a new order to the city, if it means by force. You see, the thing about this, because what he's up to, because he need one more ingredient that he need to create of his army. That's what he's been working on lately. And one episode that they tried to, that the Flex Fighters are going to try to apprehend the blind strike. They have suspicions that this person goes to the same school as those three go to. So they had a suspicion it has to be either a student or a teacher. And needless to say that their theories is really not that helpful. So far, their efforts is just not happening, I'll tell you that much. And the thing about this, right before the group known as the Tech Man that was the steal of this rare crystal called the litholite. It's not just basically based of energy, but the sound itself. And of course, when they saved the day, but the litholite was missing. And we had the suspicion that it was the blind strike that took it without the Flex Fighters noticing. And by the time when they finally nabbed him, they realized that it wasn't just the sound radiation that is feeding off of, because the Blind Strike's armor is made of litholite that is reeking out of the outside of the armor. And they finally caught him. That's good. That's a good part. But that's where where the stretch monster, Jesus, finally caught making a scene and just destroy their command base, whatever that was, the command wagon, and he took not just the Blind Strike, but the armor itself that's made of the litholite. And they found that the stretch monster's underground basement, that basically he got everything that he needed, not just the energy of the litholite, of course, that he created using the DNAs of the litholite, and with the flexium on this poor soul, that he just pops out of nowhere and just simply just goes downstairs to the underground base and sacrifice himself to give a purpose for the stretch monster. I'm like, what the hell? It kind of makes sense why he was being chosen of this dangerous cause. More importantly, I'm kind of concerned about the cat. That's kind of sad, man. So, becoming as a litholite creature, that was just a distraction, because he claims that he got everything that he needed, because the fact that the energy of the litholite and the flexium, that he got the genetic code DNAs from the Flex Fighters, it was perfect enough to create his own army. With combine of the litholite and the flexium, makes it a perfect stabilized with no side effects. They can basically stretch to anything, and at the same time they can just basically just morph, and they can even morph into a 8 foot tall giants. That was crazy, man. Oh yeah, and by the way, Blind Strike is actually Riva. So, surprise. The one person that they did not expect or didn't have their suspicions, but it kind of makes sense, because I think she has a little background, because I think she basically had something she basically complained about the stress that from home, and it did kind of make sense of why all her stuffs are completely empty out of the house that she was living. So it makes sense. And Jake had an idea that one way that could destroy those giant creatures, using the anti-flexium. In the process of that it will not only destabilize the creatures, but also will drain Jake's ability. And regardless, he was going to save the city. He was going to tend to stop this, if it meant that he was going to self-sacrifice himself to activate the energy bomb that will permanently disable every creatures, including the stretch monster. Well, surprisingly, he didn't get completely drained out. At least I don't think so. So Wingspan evidently saved him from the risk of becoming normal. And he could have gone back to being normal, but I think that it was not his time yet. So with the Stretch Monster's lab being destroyed, and no trace of him. That's almost that he was caught by the blast. So it was success. Congratulations. And throughout of that last episode, I felt like the something doesn't seem it was so easy, because it was just stuff that didn't make any sense. And a job well done for the Flex Fighters, a victory with the snow cones, and but of course Jake's curiosity did kind of got him a little curious about that, because with the swamp. I can't believe why I say swamp monster. You know what? Don't crowd on that. I'm just, as I said, this is my first time doing these reviews, so just bear with me, okay? Anyways, because it did give him some thoughts, because how could this Stretch Monster knows every city and every cameras that's been coping every city blocks, and the thing is that this monster had been coping plans for 8 years. At the same time that the day that Dr. C just disappeared. Not to mention, I forgot to tell you that the on the ground of the corporation, there's a prison of all the meta villains. They're all locked up, and there's a lab table that basically means that someone's been doing these experiments for a test. And right there, that's where Jake realized that the identity of the Stretch Monster was Mr. Rook himself. And I had a suspicion, because number one, for the moment that Blind Strike, aka Riva, took the litholite out of the canister, he was pissed off, because he was kind of wondering where is it. And I never see Rook be so upset when he's just a cool Commodina dude. But now it makes very sense, because the fact is, he was the first to inject with the Flexium onto him, and that basically that well, here's the thing, he's been condoning experimentations of the Flexium, of bonding to the human DNA for a very long time. So that would explain why he was the first a meta being that he can that stretch limbs and alter his personality. So that makes a lot sense of how he did it, and what was the purpose, because basically he was condoning experimentations, testing out on a certain human beings to do his bidding for his control, for one thing, for loyalty. And what a surprise! Of course I should have realized it, because everything about him is just so shady, especially the freaking prison that on the sub basement level on the building. And what sucks about that that Kane doesn't know about Rook's true identity. And unfortunately for the Flex Fighters, that snow cone they just ate, it was poison. It was meant to simply to drug them, and it will slowly kill them. but the efforts was that they tried to escape. Well, they may got away from it, but they were saved by the revival of Dr. C. And here's the thing about her. It turns out she's not the threat to the city. She was actually trying to save the city from Rook. So she's been basically, she must have known something that what Rook has really been up to and what the plans are. So at that time, she didn't know who to trust, and especially she didn't trust the Flex Fighters back then. But now she feels that she can trust them because they're on the same page. Because Rook was basically deceiving them, using them for as a test subjects, and basically that he got the genetic codes with the Flexium within their DNA, and he got pretty much everything that he needed. Now it's about what he's going to do next. And worse about that, now they're basically they're fugitives of the city, because Mr. Rook just made a bullshit story that the Flex Fighters were terrorists. Of course, we know that's not true because he's basically lying to cover his tracks. So now it's up to the Flex Fighters and Dr. C to put an end to Mr. Rook once and for all. And that ends of the first season. Again, I really liked it. It was pretty good. It was a decent show, and just like Collins, I liked it too. So it was not bad. So here's what I did not know, that they actually made a sequel, at least I think. So this is going to be a react to of this latest one that's already out now. So let's take a look.
The Flex Fighters are back on an all-new interactive adventure where you tell them what to do. Watch, choose, see what happens next.
Really?
Rook has turned everyone against us. What's going on? Multifarious is back? Looks like escaping prison's a trendy thing to do right now.
I say we go after Smokestack. Let's go after Multifarious before he topples the building.
It's time to save Charter City.
Really, huh?
You pick on one of us, you pick on all of us. I know we're a little out of practice, but let's get it together. We busted all these villains before. We can do it again. Will you help us? It's time for the Flex Fighters to stop running and be the heroes Charter City really needs.
You keep the story going.
Flex Fighters never back down.
Okay, so this is the sequel. They are living their lives normally, but of course, in their superhero alter egos, they are wanted fugitives. And to make things worse, the metavillains are destroying cities, and basically they just break loose. So this is the part that they needed to take a stand, to fight back, and taking down Mr. Rook, aka Stretch Monster. So rest assured, you Collins, I will get a chance to watch the sequel. So I will do another review on that one. And of course, there are other shows that I have to take care of. Which, by the way, I'll be able to get to sit down and watch the Wakfu. That's also on Netflix. So excuse me, I'm tongue-tied again. So I will begin on the Breakout series. So this is it for the video. That's it of the review of the first series of the Flex Fighters. So be sure to punch those likes from Deadpool apologize to David Beckham, and the review for the Stretch Armstrong and the Flex Fighters. Even if you're new to this channel, be sure to click that bell, and you're officially a member of the Mighty Nation squad. And let's see if we can smash those likes and see if we can get more subscribers to get involved. So that's it for tonight. This is Mighty Avengers signing off.